Let's go live. Okay, you guys, we're here. Yes. Thank you for coming and joining. I know I've been really sporadic with my lives and more, maybe on Instagram or maybe posting on Twitter or whatever, but we're here. So I've got the real James Owen here. You can find him on Instagram. He is a very articulate, very eloquent. He can convert the most retarded leftist to Christianity within 20 minutes with his winning arguments. I remember we were doing a live and we were talking to a guy who was like in a parking lot of like a Taco Bell or something. And you were
Yeah,
just like schooling him, and he was just like, oh. It was really great. You were like exposing all of his ridiculous reasons for not being religious and just showing how like hypocritical he was, and just like you really pushed him to the edge. That was a good one. But yeah, I'm so glad you could join us because I really think this is going to be a fun topic to discuss. It's going to be very nuanced. People, don't get triggered, please. But we're going to talk about the cringe conservative influencers. You recently did a post on the whole Republican Party. You talk very much about the inauthenticity of these like conservative influencers and how they're just here to like do the clickbait thing. So we can get into that. And specifically, I'm going to also talk about this Andrew Tate interview that Candace Owens did. I mean, literally the most cringe thing I've ever seen in my life. So, yeah. So let's give us some of your background so everybody can get to know you.
yeah. So I guess I joined the movement back in 2020 when a lot of people did. I came out against my brother John Sullivan. He was the Jaden X guy, the Antifa guy at the Capitol. Um, did a lot of work with the FBI and private investigators against him, and then I switched over to being an influencer. Just putting my thoughts and I guess words um, into social media, and then I guess it just kind of like lightly took off, uh, and yeah, I have I have two kids, two sons and a daughter on the way, and yeah, I love God and I love this country. So
I know you do such a good job. I love your arguments. So well put. So yeah, so okay, let's get started. I think let's get started to like level set before we dive into like the most triggering topic, cuz these people have messiahs and they just don't like criticizing them or anything like that. So before we get into the Candace thing, let's just level set because you posted on Instagram. Again, you can follow him on Instagram, Real James Owen. The Republican Party no longer has my support. You're a bunch of neocon, spineless, wave riding, cloud chasing losers. um, who are sitting on your hands doing nothing while a president attempts to imprison a political rival. Obvious point. I will vote for Trump, but I will not support any of you again. Good luck winning anything without the AF MAGA vote. I hope you all get primaried by America First millennials who are tired of the inaction and cuck mentality you've exhibited for the past 4 years. So well put. So well put. I'm glad I grabbed you on that wave. I think you posted it like 7 hours ago. So
mm,
yeah, that's a lot. But I mean, it's true.
it is true. No, it is true, and a lot of it is just like we back in I guess 2020 when we voted these people in, and most of them got endorsements from Trump. The people voted them to represent them, to continue the wave that Trump created, and
Yeah.
they rode that wave, and then they started to cloud chase. They started to say a lot, um, and they're all taught. They really don't go through with anything that they say. You have Marjorie Green, you have Matt Gaetz, all these people
Yeah.
that come out for Trump, but when he actually needs them, when they should be rallying behind him, um, they're
Mm-hmm.
sitting on their hands because
Exactly.
my opinion is that they've been bought and paid for. They have all the power in the world right now to intervene, and they're not doing anything.
Exactly. They're not really even doing this. They're not even, I would say, effectively pushing back in the media against this. They're just sort of passively like, oh, well, I mean, you know, this is why he shouldn't be indicted. Just like very, very passive, very just not even trying to make it a big deal. Like, image wise, the Republicans look so insanely weak all the time. All the time. Against a group of people who are, a lot of their followers are clinically insane. So, you know, so it's crazy to see that. It's crazy to see that. And I think your sentiment is what a lot of people feel. I don't think you're anywhere in like the minority. I feel like a lot of people feel like this, which means they're so jaded. They don't want to vote. They don't want to participate, you know, at the local level. They don't want to do anything. And because you have a Republican Party that's just sort of just like, oh, that's sad, or just kind of mute.
Yeah, a lot of the influencers, they just react to stuff. You know,
Yeah.
they're not really
TikToks.
TikToks and stuff. And like the only real people that are really like doing anything on the conservative side are like pro-lifers and
That's true.
conservative Christians, but like most of them are just a bunch of neocons. They don't, sorry, but they're establishment and they don't really, I don't know. It doesn't really feel like they represent the American people at this point. And I really do feel that almost all of them need to be primaried, and we need to get some younger people in that actually represent, um, the next generations and the next generations of America. And I think it needs to happen.
I do. I think so too. I think so too. Like Soren says, it's true though. Millennials are pretty much done with most of this political class. Like, it's just, it's so fake. So, what do you think in terms of, do you think it's going to be just like a natural evolution that people just get called out and we just start really holding these people's feet to the fire?
Um, no, no, I honestly think that when Trump, if I don't believe that any of the indictments are actually going to stick. I think that Democrats are throwing a bunch of shit at Trump, and they're hoping it sticks, but it's not. When Trump
Mm-hmm.
runs in 2024, he has said before that he will be calling out everyone who wasn't loyal. And when he said that, people thought that he was being like, Trump, narcissistic, whatever. But he's talking about people who aren't loyal to him or the American people,
Yeah.
um, and their constituents and stuff. So, like, I really do think that in 2024, especially if Trump wins the presidential election, I think he's going to clean house, and I think it's going to be both with influencers, and I also think it's going to be with and no, it's going to be with the people in office. I think he's going to withdraw a lot of his endorsements. He's going to do a lot of retractions, and he's just going to absolutely, clean house. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we see what happened when Trump was like not a fan of DeSantis, not doing very well at all.
mhm.
I mean, oh God, I just don't like that guy for many reasons right now. I think he's like a fine governor, obviously, but no. I think loyalty, and maybe give me your perspective on this. Maybe I'm naive, but I feel like loyalty is important, especially when it comes to our lives. You know, we all experience COVID. We all experience what it's like to have the political system, um, our politicians control our lives to that extent. So I feel like loyalty is kind of important. This is a relationship after all.
Mhm. Yeah. Loyalty goes hand in hand with consistency. It's being consistent with the person, consistent with things that you say, consistent with your intentions for that person. Um, and when Trump says, or when anyone says that, like, I'm going to turn my back on the people who aren't loyal to me, it's turning up his back on people that aren't consistent. These people came in and they said they're
Yeah.
America first. They said that they stood for the people, U.S. Constitution, patriot values, whatever, and then they're going silent when we need them. When the The reasons why we voted them in to fight these battles come up, they just go silent. They sit on their hands, and it doesn't make the only thing that makes sense is that they've entered the establishment, and they're controlled opposition. And I say that in the least conspiracy
I know.
the least conspiracy way
Yeah.
possible. It doesn't make any sense. There's no other explanation.
I know.
Um,
It screams control op. It screams control
mhm.
op. Ugh. Yeah, because
No,
John said right now, he
go ahead.
says, why was D Snake compelled to run in front of Trump when he is only 44 years old? I mean, that's a valid question. Like, why? No, you.
Oh, me?
Why? Yeah, why? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
control
Well,
op.
it's controlled op. But there's when he first announced, and like you have the DeSantis bros, and you know, split off and be like DeSantis 2024. Like it's just like it's one of those things where like logic left the window. We're gonna need momentum, like sensational and that's only done by Trump. Like,
No.
no one else can do what he does. And if DeSantis was an actual conservative, like an actual like member of the team, he would wait until 2028. He would run. He would endorse Trump, and he would help him on his campaign trail. Uh, being that most of DeSantis is following, just like most influencers following, like back in 2020 to now, is built up by people. It's built. Their followers are only there because Trump endorsed them. Trump said nice things
Exactly.
about them, right?
Candace. Who else? Like, there's a lot of them that came up off of Trump. I mean, Candace literally held her wedding in Mar-a-Lago.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
come on. So yeah, no, there's a lot, and it just seems like it just seems like that argument around, oh, well, we want somebody nicer. There's no one's going to vote for Trump. Like, he'll never win. Like, MSNBC said it won't work, so just get rid of him. Like, that argument doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know what you think about that.
Like it won't work for Trump running.
Yeah, like having Trump win, and we have to save the country, so, he's never going to be elected. Everybody hates him, so we have to just go with somebody else. Like,
Hmm.
I don't know
That's
about
what
that.
I sound like a conspiracy theorist, like QAnon guy when I say this, but like, it's it's the truth. They've been reindoctrinated by the left. The
Yeah.
left wants us to vote, like they want us to vote for Bushes. They want us to vote um, for yeah, for Bush type Republicans, Romney type Republicans, because um, they they're controllable. DeSantis is controllable. So like it
Definitely.
doesn't. There's no logic with him running. The only solution I can see to like cleaning house is for someone to run, a millennial, to run, betray, and then that millennial is elected to betray his constituents and join the swamp, right? While
Mm-hmm.
he's in the swamp, that person um, would expose everyone, right? Record every conversation, and then drop it to James O'Keefe or drop it to themselves, depending on their following, and completely just eradicating, any credibility that these neocons have. That's what it's going to take, and that's what the left does.
Yeah.
Um, and I really do think that, when James O'Keefe, when he did that to Chris Stewart, he dropped out of his office this year because he knew he wasn't going to win. He knew it was going to be primary. So
Mm-hmm.
here or over in Utah. So like it's one of those things where Republicans have to act, and they have to stop doing this herd sheep like mentality. That because this person has an R next to their name, it means that they're on our team. We know that's not true. We know about McConnell. We know about Romney, and it seems
Yeah,
like if they
100%.
say the right things, then we can't speak against them, or we're betraying our country. Betraying your country is supporting people that that represent themselves rather than the people that voted them in. So that's what I have to say about that.
Yeah. No, it's just the boomer mentality of just, yeah, go with the R. It'll be fine. Just be very passive. Um, don't really hold anybody accountable. I mean, it's just, we have to understand the complexities within the party. Like, people just assume, like you said, they just assume if they're Republicans, oh, they're going to be on our side. No, there's been Republicans this entire time. Like, the deep state has been running the show this entire time. Obviously, it's not just the Republican and then, oh, they're good. They're gonna care about us. They're gonna not let jobs be shipped overseas. They're not going to go along passively to the woke agenda. They've been doing that, like, obviously. For me, I feel like people want to go with what they see is like going to be easier, you know? Like, oh, he's nicer, it's going to be easier. They just want to take the easy route. It's this very boomer mentality again of like this very easy route. And it's not easy. This is a war. It's not a regular war that we see where, you know, there's bombs blowing things up and all of this stuff. There's a guy. Do you know Yuri Bezmenov?
Mhm.
Yeah. So I don't have the clip with me, but he talks about the irregular warfare and subversion and all of those things. And he explains that the majority of the time, a lot of this warfare, this propaganda warfare, it doesn't involve blowing things up. It involves coming in, demoralizing the people, changing the society, rotting them from within, what we're seeing. And so because of that, people aren't expecting it. They don't think it's really valid. But I mean, when you're corrupting society to the extent that we're at right now, where we have to actually have a conversation about gender and male or femaleness, it's like we're pretty far gone. So we have to recognize what's been happening. Um, so so I want to get your take. Do you have any conservative influencers that you actually think are like good and, not just sort of on the payout?
Almost every single one that's not contracted to the Daily Wire, the Hodge twins, Terrence Williams, um, I mean, Crystal and Saint or Diamond and Silk. Um, you know, those guys are like the OGs, the ones that were there. They're
Mm-hmm.
not corruptible. They make their own money, but
Yeah.
the entire object of their platform is not to do that. They've stayed consistent the entire time. People like hold on, people like Candace
Mm-hmm.
Owens and those guys. It's become a lot more about money than anything else,
Yeah.
and it feels like they're always trying to sell us something. It feels like they're always trying to increase like what they have, and their messaging has gotten more Candace than anyone else has gotten like into pop culture. Like we're
I
responding
know.
to people who aren't conservative enough.
Yeah.
So
No, I
so yeah.
totally agree. I totally agree because it's just like if you want to take a second, just go ahead. I can but it just
No, you're fine.
so it's just so cringe to see someone like Candace Owens, and let's start going into her. Okay. I didn't like that there was a period, I don't know if you remember, where it was like all of a sudden 1 week, every single influencer was like airing their dirty laundry, letting everybody know their smoke for Trump, how he had personally said some mean things to him, how he offended them, how they got upset, like all of like they all did it in a very coordinated like attack.
Mm-hmm.
It just that doesn't seem like a coincidence. So they did it all and she did it, and I'm just like, she above all people, I really feel, again, she came up because of him.
Mm-hmm.
That was her thing. She was very pro Trump. She had a wedding at Mar-a-Lago. She was just, that was her thing. It's like almost like Carrie Lake right now. It's almost as if Carrie Lake right now all of a sudden decided, oh, I hate Trump. It's like, like he offended me. If somebody like Carrie Lake switched, that's how extreme it is. So it's just weird. And when I saw that, I clocked her. I was like, oh, okay. All right. And then I assumed, okay, she's just going to do the whole culture thing because let's see, she's going to talk bad about, the women and the culture and all of this and masculinity. And she's going to, have her same prudish outlook. Because, I mean, let's be honest, her brand is very prudish. She's not, She's like very judgmental. She's very, heavy-handed when it comes to things. Um, and and then when I saw she did the Andrew Tate interview, I just personally for me, and I don't know if you guys who are ever watching, I study propaganda obviously, so I can appreciate people for what they do and what they've accomplished and all of those things, because a lot of the propagandists in our history are like some of the worst people on the planet. And so I don't get like really flustered about that. Like, but her, like, I had this like disgust, just like pure, like, ew, disgusting. Because for her, it just seems so incredibly hypocritical for her and her brand to interview a man with, just from the outset, if you asked me, hey, do you want to go interview a man who has trafficking charges on him? And I would say, I actually don't want to be in a, no. Oh, do you want to go like talk to a man who's like technically, literally a pimp? And I would say, you know what? That's okay. I'm good. Like, I would not even want to associate with someone like that, because I just feel like as a woman, like, why would you want to be around a guy like that? That's like not a good type of guy. Like, just in terms of how they move, and they're very manipulative. It just like, and then to have somebody as prudish as her, because I'm not prudish compared to her. Like, she's approved. For her to go over there, it's just like, what are you doing? How is this relevant to a pregnant, by the way, she's pregnant, a pregnant Christian woman, conservative, gonna go interview a webcam pimp?
Mm-hmm.
The Daily Wire,
Yeah,
what's that, buddy?
yeah. It's actually it's kind of I don't want to be in the Candace Twitter thread. I have too many people from Brexit following me, but it's okay. She's a great person. I think, she has great intentions. I think that she, means everything that she says and does. And I'm just going to talk about the things that she did, not assaulting her as a
Yeah.
person.
I'm talking about
But what?
her brand,
Yeah,
not
let's
her as a
talk about her
person.
brand.
This
Let's
is
talk
a
about her brand.
separate, for people to understand. There's the brand and an image of a brand, and then there's the actual person. Okay? They're two
Hmm.
different things. Yeah, so go ahead.
Yeah. No, I just say that because Candace has a has a knack for focusing and destroying people like Steven Crowder. We saw what happened to him, so
Well, Steven
I'm
Crowder
okay.
destroyed himself. Okay.
Mm,
He destroyed himself. Okay,
yeah.
go on.
Um, but yeah, no. So like something that Candace did from like the very beginning, really not beginning, when she had a whole tape with Cardi B, if you remember that. She gave
Yeah.
Cardi B a platform on
Well, she
Twitter.
wanted to
She was
sell her
going.
book.
Hmm. But no, she was going off. She was famous for like Twitter wars with like Cardi B. So
Mm-hmm.
she would tweet at celebrities and then post every reply that they did for her to get following and clout, right?
Yeah.
So she historically has gone after very controversial people um, that um, that she knows that they gave her attention. She'd get clout from. She went after Kanye, developed a relationship with him. She's done this throughout time. Kanye went out and he said all the things that he said about like the Jewish community. I have a different take on that, but like, um, and she didn't say anything because she had gotten her clout from him. When Kanye first retweeted her and said like I love Candace Owens, she went
Mm-hmm.
up by like a million followers on Instagram, and I think like over like 600K on Twitter. So like she
Wow.
has a knack for doing this. So like the only that's just stuff that I knew just following her throughout the years. So bringing on someone like Andrew Tate isn't actually, it's not a first for her to bring someone on for clout, someone on that's super controversial that everyone's gonna watch. And it brings back to what I said is clickbait. Is what she was after, is clickbait. She was after a controversial
Yeah.
interview that would put her back on the map because before that she was literally just talking about celebrities and commenting on the news of the day. So Andrew Tate was like her big thing to come back and be in the headlines again, trend on the left side of social media, and it's backfiring. Like it's really
Yeah,
backfiring on
it
both sides.
is.
And the biggest reason is, for me, and this is just my take on Andrew Tate. I'm a Christian. I don't believe that everyone's perfect. I don't believe that the way that people get money is moral. I don't actively. I'm not going to tell my son to be like Andrew Tate. One of the things that conservatives or Christian conservatives have to realize is that Andrew Tate, Donald Trump, those guys, they aren't conservative. They're not supposed to be on our platforms. They're not supposed to be in our communities. They have their own roles to play. I don't think Andrew Tate should be lifted up on the same pedestal as like Brandon Tatum or Dennis Prager or any of those guys, and that's what Candace effectively did, and that's what's pissing me off is because Andrew Tate reaches hundreds of thousands of people that don't know who Candace Owens is. They don't know who Brandon Tatum is, and he has started like the Sigma masculinity movement, which is great. He's done an amazing thing for that,
Yeah.
amazing thing for some men, but to lift them up on a pedestal, to say that this man is, like I don't know, to exemplify this man and want to be like him, and bringing him into our community, making our community normalize Andrew Tate.
Yes.
It's a kick in the face, And this is 5 months after she defended the convicted rapist. I don't know if you saw that, but she
Which
defended.
one?
We
Who?
get it. So, um,
Oh
she
no.
so she went on with so there's two different cases. One of them is Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor was verified, okay, that he sexually assaulted a woman. The woman later dropped the charges, saying that they had come to a settlement outside of court. Candace Owens goes in and attacks the woman, even though the woman's
Oh,
yeah, she went
shocking. Oh.
she went and she attacked the woman, tore the woman down.
Mm.
And she does it to multiple women. She went after women that get Botox,
Oh, yes, I
any
remember
type of work
that.
done to them. Yeah,
Oh.
and she posted a picture of one of her followers that have Botox, and she said, "See, it's not natural." And I'm like, "You're attacking someone who has 15 followers, Candace." And then that backfired, and she posted a
She
apology.
apologized. Yeah.
She apologized, and I'm just like, but she does that, but then when with Andrew Tate, someone who literally traffics, or sorry,
Who's got
who
charges
no
and
no
is
no
a
no who does webcam
yeah,
models and all this stuff, porn, like
literal,
um
literal.
literal porn, and that's the thing that I can't get with him on. I can't.
No,
I love certain things that he says, but I will never tell my son to be like Andrew Tate. I won't.
exactly. And
Because
that's where
there's
you
better ways to get
differentiate.
money.
Yeah, and that's where we have to, again, I want to drive this home hard. You have to differentiate between the brand, the message of one brand that he has. Andrew Tate has one brand, then he has the other Red Pill brand, he has a Freedom brand. He has all those different brands under the umbrella of Andrew Tate. But the fact he literally is a pimp, like, there's nothing redeeming about working in the sex industry. It's a horrific industry. It is a traumatic industry. There's nothing glamorous about it. And anyone who even has any understanding of how the sex industry works, that industry works, there's no, oh, it was consensual. Like, yeah, okay, but it's traumatic. It's still a dirty it's a dirty, hard, nasty job. Okay, let's just put it that way. Besides
Mm-hmm.
the morality part, it's filled with people who have a lot of issues. Okay.
Yeah. So the one thing about porn, and one of the biggest, well, there's a lot of big reasons why I don't watch it. But one of the biggest reasons why I don't watch it is because there have been 127 um, uh, uh, sex trafficking busts that have been done in porn studios. Okay,
Yeah.
so porn studios like X videos.
Yeah.
Trying to think of the. I'm looking at my screen right now.
Yeah, the
Um,
industry is
yeah, the
littered.
industry, they've done busts, and they walked into porn studios, and they have arrested entire production teams and saved the women that were being trafficked into the porn industry. You don't hear about that on the news. You have to look it up. And
Exactly.
when Andrew Tate's like, webcam models is not the same thing, I'm like, Andrew, like, you don't know if the person that is with like if I was a trafficker, if you watch, I don't know if you watch Sound of Freedom,
Yeah.
um, yeah, like you can sell cocaine once, but you can sell a woman over and over and over and over and over again. There is no way that Andrew Tate knows that the women that are there, the men that there's not a man behind that is using her to make money online while at the same time using her body. I'm
Exactly.
capitalizing on my investment. So like
Exactly.
when there's just you can't get behind that. And there's so many
No.
millennials that have been affected positively by Andrew Tate, but at the
Mhm.
same time, they're in my comment sections being like, James, you anti-masculine, bastard or whatever. And I'm like, I'm not anti-masculine. I'm just saying that like you shouldn't be supporting someone who literally has a very large portion in the porn industry. Andrew Tate has a 15% share in Pornhub. Okay, no one looks at that.
What?
And they're
Oh
just like,
my
yeah, you didn't know
God. Are
that?
you
Yeah. So like,
serious? Oh,
yeah. And we're like, this guy is like literally like
they're
God
just being
himself. No,
mean
he's
to
not.
him.
No, he's not. It's like they're valid things that conservatives are like, hey,
Yes.
hey, I know he's masculine and everything, but like he's a literal porn dealer. So
Yeah, or they get offended that you acknowledge it. Again, just what's wrong with saying what it is? Like, why is that offensive? If you don't have a problem with it, if he doesn't have a problem with it, if it's supposed to be consensual, it's all these things. It is what it is. What's the problem? Why do people get so emotional? Because they know it's wrong. They know it's not a good thing. So it's difficult for them to like sort of like, oh, but he says this good thing here, but then he does this. So they just want to like sort of shun and push the other thing away. For me, because I study propaganda, I just look at messaging and influence and effects of human social engineering. I'm just looking, okay, this person says this message, and then he also has this persona, and that just exists. It's not, I don't get emotional about it. But when I see someone with a brand like Candace Owens, who literally goes after women nonstop about their sexuality, who they
not
are,
everything.
about everything, and I'm about to show a email she just released this morning talking about, oh, women need to stop taking their clothes off on Instagram. And I just, for her to do that to women and then turn around and just like soft what is that, softball with this
Softcore
guy.
porn.
No,
Oh,
no,
softcore.
no, to just be so sweet and nice with Andrew Tate, not challenge him in any way, just be like, oh, okay, cool, yeah, you did the webcams, yeah, they just had bikinis and made pictures, okay, like, it's
Bro,
so hypocritical. That's hypocritical.
she literally went after Cardi for like a lyric in her songs, "Wet Ass Pussy" and "WAP," and then she's literally agreeing with Angie Tate on
Literally.
selling porn. And I'm like, Candace, stop! I know the clout's nice, but there's other ways to get clout.
It's
You know?
not, it makes no sense, and it's so cringe and it's so hypocritical, and like, I mean, I wouldn't even talk about Kimberly Klasick. She went after her like brutally because, oh, she is a stripper. It's like, okay, but she also, Kimberly Klasick made amazing propaganda, amazing media trying to get Baltimore people to buy into the idea of a Republican um, in Baltimore, which is a heavy, heavy blue place, like very heavy blue. She made a huge impact when I was first getting introduced to, the Republican Party. I saw Kimberly Clay. I was like, oh, okay. They're aware. They're speaking to the real issues. They're people. They don't all have to look like Tommy Lauren, or like, they can be human beings in this country. And the way she dragged Kimberly Klasick, who I'm sure had really good impressions on people because she was a stripper, but then you're gonna turn around and like kiki with a literal pimp. It's terrible. I don't like it. I don't like it.
Yeah, no, like Kimberly Klasick. Actually, we talk sometimes, and
Mm.
she actually said that like, you know, she wasn't Christian back then. She found God. She revived herself. She's no
Yeah.
longer supports that industry. She's not like Cardi B. She doesn't go back and like do cameos or appearances at strip clubs.
Yeah.
And she said Candace just went after me when she privately messaged her and said like, "Hey, that was my past. Why are you bringing that up? All I did
Mm-hmm.
was comment on your Juneteenth comment. Why are you bringing up my past?" Candace blocked her on everything. and then started trashing her.
Yeah.
So no, it's crazy.
No,
It's absolutely crazy.
she definitely has the bitter woman, I'm going to attack women vibe. I'm going to attack them for, oh, they're being hoes, you know. And like just looking at this post she did where that's not it. Here it is. This email. I hope you guys can see it. And I'll read it out. But just looking at this, I was just like, it threw me over the edge where she's talking about Instagram and how it's just, you need to. You need to not take your clothes off for attention, but you can talk to pimps for attention. So she's like, you might not watch pornography, but if you have an Instagram, you are definitely seeing porn. It's soft porn. But it's porn nonetheless. There is no question about that. You cannot open social media app without seeing suggested content of women exposing their bodies, posed in scandalous stances. What is it about social media that encourages this type of behavior? Why are women encouraged to take their clothes off? Oh, maybe because they work for Andrew Tate and he wants them to get followers? Maybe they have a pimp who's like, get on your Instagram. I think the answers to those questions begin with what I call flat screen syndrome, which is something I made up during the George Floyd riots. Flat screen syndrome is a condition in which someone justifies their behavior by citing someone who did something that offended them. The syndrome bleeds over to the world of nudes that people, women in particular, post on Instagram. I've always made it a point to encourage women to follow me on social media, to have respect for themselves. But how? Okay, they're having respect for themselves, but they work for Andrew Tate. Like, they have to make this money. Come on, they work for her best friend. Regardless of your race or any other category you find in yourself, you should have respect. But the standard of beauty has gotten confusing for women. Women don't even know what beauty is anymore. Women seem to believe that posting their bodies on the internet for someone to like their post somehow means they're beautiful, but it's anything but that. It's all about attention. They're engaged in getting naked on the internet. So she goes on and on about these women and how good guidance from society at large is non-existent for women, and they're broken, and men are broken too. It's like, it's just all this. Get on your high horse about this, but it's just like, it's always her attacking women, it feels like. It's such hypocritical. It's so like double standard. It's the type of chick who's always going after the girl with a big butt or big boobs, being like, oh, she must be a slut. You know, like things like that. That's the vibe I'm getting. And I don't like it. I think it's ridiculous. And it doesn't improve society in any way. I mean, you can't just call out one side and then, like with the Conor McGregor thing you were mentioning, she attacks the woman who said he SA'd her. Like, what? How does that improve society? So, no, I'm not for it.
It doesn't. And like one of the things that Candace does with her brand is she uses it to attack other people, not just conservatives. But
Yeah.
especially conservatives. She'll take conservatives down. Okay, that it could have been done in private. Like I'm not endorsing anything that Steven Crowder did in his relationship, but a relationship is between a man, his wife, and God. Okay, and a relationship counselor. I don't believe in the circumstance in which his wife found herself in. I don't believe in the way that he talked to his woman. I would be 6 feet under if I talked to my woman like that. But yeah, no, I don't. I just knowing that Candace Owens had a conversation with his wife, like went out and sought his wife, right, and asked for that video, and then lied about it and said that she got it from an investigative reporter, and went off to destroy Steven Crowder because he exposed Daily Wire's contract terms that they have for influencers, where they basically own you. They own your brand. They own everything, and you're not allowed to post certain things or whatever.
It's a 360. It's a 360 deal.
So then she went after him. She went after him. because her husband is a major shareholder with Daily Wire. So like she went after him for something so trivial, something that didn't even involve her, and destroyed his life. And then before that was Kimberly Klasick, and then she went after Donald Trump, saying
Yeah.
because Donald Trump didn't shake her hand at a event that she was at, and she said he must be a inconsistent person now, like you shouldn't follow him. But yeah.
She also had an issue with him and the injections. But when she was interviewing Trump, she was way bitchier than when she was talking to Andrew Tate. Like she was way meaner. I mean,
Oh yeah.
it doesn't it's it's so disingenuous. And I wish, because when I expose people, let's say from the left, somebody I know, I will maybe give them a clip of Candace Owens. She obviously makes really good points, and her older stuff is really, really good when she was doing the podcast with PragerU, where she was actually doing substantive discussions and introducing you to, Thomas Sowell and all these different people. And so if I show them that, and then they look at her stuff now, they're like, why is she, like, who is this? Because they don't just look at the content of what, most people don't do that. They look at the brand and overall what the brand looks like. They're not just going to pick and choose one thing and say, oh, I'm going to use discernment and just, take the message and not, worship the messenger. But that's not how it works. So it just degrades, what should be the ultimate goal of trying to help move the culture in a positive direction.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. But yeah, I don't disagree with what she says about Instagram and the porn and all this. I don't disagree. People are saying, "Oh, I agree with her. That makes sense." But what I'm saying is in the context of her literally having a little kiki ha ha with a pimp who's the one pushing those girls that you see on some of those girls on Instagram, pushing them to actually make those photos that she's complaining about and demonizing those women about and judging those women about. It just, no, it's not a good look. It doesn't hold for me. So I don't like it. I think we could do a lot better. I think we
Mm-hmm.
don't have to attack any one group. We're all in this together. You don't just always attack the women. Oh, the Me Too movement. It's like some of those women were legitimately,
Harvey Weinstein, the
yeah,
Harvey Weinstein women. That I think
yeah,
that's where it really started, right? For the most
mm-hmm,
part.
yeah. Where she
Yeah,
was like,
it was
oh, why are they going after him? What?
because he's Harvey Weinstein. Um,
Yeah,
and he's in prison now. So like, it's just like
it's legitimate.
it's it's legit. And I don't know. I think she does a lot of things for clout. A lot of influencers do. It doesn't make her a bad person. It just makes her
Mm-hmm.
someone that kind of like Andrew Tate, and I'm going to relate her to Andrew Tate. She wanted to involve herself with him. She doesn't really represent a bulk of conservatives right now.
No.
I don't feel like she represents me. I don't think that she would represent my kids. When they start watching content and stuff like, um, she's more of like a Joe Rogan with conservative. Sometimes she has conservative takes on things.
Yeah, with prudish
Um,
views. Yeah,
hmm hmm yeah.
exactly. It's like, don't dress a certain way. Don't do this. Like, it's so demeaning because, like, you get all of this negativity from guys if you wear a tank top or whatever. But then to have women go around and be like, oh my God, look at her. It's just, it's not conducive to helping people again come over and regain sanity so they don't just opt into a social credit system and get microchipped. Like there's another way. There's another way. So yeah, it will be interesting to see how she continues to evolve her brand. Um,
Mm.
Maybe she's just gonna turn into like a Wendy Williams with like no Botox and and less of let's say less of a boob job. I would say. So that would be interesting to see in like 5-10 years what that would look like. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think overall, though, the conservative movement needs to just do a better job. I wanted to ask you too. What did you think of like the Daily Wire, like Ben Shapiro's reaction to the Barbie movie. What did you think about like all of those conservative influencers reacting to that? How do you feel about that?
I'm straight. I didn't see the Barbie movie.
Yeah.
Um, I don't believe if you have an appropriate level of testosterone, um, that you would be able to walk into that movie. And I feel like every most conservative influencers that have seen the Barbie movie don't really have um, that level of testosterone. Ben Shapiro being one of them. You know, he says he's a masculine man, but doesn't act like a masculine man. Has less muscle composition than you do. So like,
Oh my god,
so like
no.
most of the people that went in there, you were like that, but like just the like we boycotted the Little Mermaid because she was black, right? But then with Barbie, you have a bunch of conservatives that are like, yeah, let's go see it. And they're like, oh, it sucked. It was anti-man. And I'm like, Barbie as an origin is pretty anti-woman. It sets unrealistic body standards for women. And then it's something that boys, especially me growing up, I hated Barbie. I
Yeah.
just
There's a
continued to
visceral
hate it.
like ew. Like ew.
Yeah, so
Regardless of the
Ben Shapiro,
storyline.
yeah, so like I just thought it was really weird for like there to be a Barbie that was targeting adults, and like the demographic of people that have seen it is mostly families. So people
Yeah.
are taking their kids to see this, and it's just anti-American stuff or anti-American, anti-family stuff. Like,
Mhm.
and it's getting kind of, I don't know. It's getting repetitive that like conservative influencers are going into like these like obviously liberal movies. And they're like, guys, it's liberal. Don't watch it. Like I saw Barbie and I'm like, that's gonna be a liberal piece of crap. I'm not going to see it. And it's just like they're just broken records at this
How
point.
did you
Like,
know? I know.
how
And
whoa.
they're always putting the conservatives as the opposition of fun, the killjoy. It's like why do you even need to say anything? Just at this point it's just like don't even like you said, don't even like don't comment. Just let it go. You know what it is. Let it go. Because then for the let's say somebody who's 15 has no idea about any of this political stuff. They see a clip, oh, the conservatives are mad. It's like that's the running storyline. You're not opening up young people. They don't understand the nuance of why, okay, because they're young, but they're going to get this reinforcing message that conservatives just hate everything fun and cool and interesting and that would bring joy because that's for people it was an escapist film. It was, I mean, I personally I did not like the film because I
Mhm.
like film and I like I like good movies, and for me particularly it was not a good movie. I don't think it was a good movie. It didn't deliver what it was promising in the trailer. Honestly, Ken was the best part of the movie, and Barbie was not particularly anti men. It was more anti being a woman, if that makes any sense. It was complaining about having to do your hair every day, like things like that. So it was a very interesting it was very interesting, but Barbie spent a third of the movie crying. So it was not a good movie. I didn't pay to see Margot Robbie crying. Like no. That's not what I paid for. I mean, she was crying so much she couldn't even do it like a song. Ken had to be like, "Oh, let me step in." So, yeah, and to think of being a man and going to see that, I felt I felt uncomfortable going to see that as an adult woman. I was like, this is a little too weird. But yeah, totally.
Yeah, yeah, no, like I don't know, like Candace Owens, like we talk about like the heyday of like conservative influencing, like she would go out like in front of the White House and take the megaphone and just lay out fact after fact after fact and just dismantle arguments. She went up to Congress and dismantled everyone on panels, right? And those videos went ultra viral, like on the left, on the right, trending on Reddit, trending on CNN, all this stuff. When's the last time she did that? When's the
Yeah.
last time any conservative influencer other than Donald Trump himself has accomplished that? And it's because like, and it's they said it earlier. I think it was Soren. they're more concerned about money. They're more concerned about keeping it safe, like staying out of the limelight and just pandering to their base, saying the
Mm-hmm.
right things, and it's I don't know. The conservatives are getting tired. They're getting tired of the show, and they want action. Um,
Yeah, we need the
People
action.
like Candace need to go back onto the streets. Like they need to go and actually confront liberals and so answer the requests from liberal. There's a whole liberal side of political influencing that people don't really know about. It's on TikTok. It's on Instagram. Like, and they have millions of followers, and they request Candace to debate all the time, and she won't do it. It's
Mm-hmm.
beneath her. But imagine if she did. Imagine if she destroyed them on a
And
debate.
open
She
them
doesn't do
up.
that stuff anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Open
she
them
doesn't do that
up.
anymore.
No,
Like
that's
the
beneath her.
best
She doesn't
way
have
to
to do it. Mm-hmm.
yeah, she was red pilling people back before 2016. And
Exactly.
she did that by going and dismantling mainstream, by
Mm-hmm.
going against mainstream and going on stage with them. She doesn't do that anymore. She panders to her base. She no longer goes out and red pills people. She just speaks and screams and nags into the echo chamber that she created.
Exactly, exactly. And Soren, I mean, Soren brings up a really good point. At least conservatives address pulp culture now, though we didn't used to do that, although the approach needs work, in my opinion. Yeah, I 100% agree. It is good to, obviously consult, like talk about culture, be engaged in culture, but they're not producing culture. They're just reacting to it negatively. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is good that they're putting their 2 cents in, but and that does need to continue, and like he said, the approach needs to work. They need to start producing things. Talk about, if you're going to talk about the Barbie movie, talk about how the positives of the Barbie movie, talk about how, for example, and because you didn't see this, in the movie there's a little girl who is a Marxist. Okay, she calls Barbie a fascist. She's very, dressed in black and angry, whatever. She doesn't look like Rainbow, but she's definitely a Marxist. And by the end of the movie, you see her, she's dressed in pink head to toe, a little 1960s dress, very cute hair, just smiling, because she, went on her little journey understanding femininity and being a woman and appreciating it, and getting this chip off of her shoulders. So it was like exposing them that, hey, this is you, you're angry and pissed off. Oh, you could be a girl and be intelligent and dress cute, and you can be happy. And so things like that, they would never address that. They never call that out. They never talk about anything positive, because that is a positive transition. Someone is going, I promise you, there's going to be a 15, 14, 13-year-old who's going to see that and say, oh, maybe I should try that. The girl looked happy. She wasn't miserable and she looked nice. Maybe I should try being a girl again instead of just being an angry Marxist. So, those are the things I think we can look at, but they don't want to do that because that's not going to make people angrier, because that's what conservatives like to get their clicks on. So
Mhm.
it's sad. So yeah. So I think this has been a great discussion. We're almost at the hour, so I really appreciate your time and you jumping on again. And again, everybody, you need to follow him on Twitter. Real James Owen 1 was your handle on Twitter. I'll put in the link in the
Mhm.
description also, and follow him on Instagram. But overall, he has really great takes. He really knows how to analyze this. He's in the movement in not a superficial way at all. He is involved in this, involved in the political sphere and understanding the dynamics and analyzing it. So I definitely recommend following him, because it's not going to be just a superficial take with rage bait being like, look at this leftist, they're crazy. We have enough of those people. So yeah, so final thoughts on what you think. Do you think there's going to be more like conservative influencers that pop up, like yourself, that are going to be logical and consistent and not just looking for clickbait? What do you think?
Sorry, my son is like getting to
Oh,
his
okay.
no, no, you're fine. You're fine.
Okay.
Um, but um, but yeah, I think there's already a bunch of millennials that are rising up. You got oh, what's his name? I don't know his name. There's a bunch of millennials that are coming up from that in Gen Zs,
Yeah.
especially in the generation Z that are coming up, and um, they are speaking out against the media that's so heavily impacting their generation. And I feel like there's this huge, like, almost like awakening within the younger generations where people like being moral and getting married and not watching porn and doing these things is becoming mainstream. It's becoming cool.
It
And
is. Yeah.
I feel like within the next year, especially during this presidential election season that we're going into, I feel I feel that there's going to be like a just another big awakening, but in the younger generations this time. Um, so I'm very excited for it. I do know that like eventually, you know, at some point, uh, this nation, um, is going to become corrupted to the point that we're not going to be able to stop it. My take, and the thing that lets me sleep at night is that we're really only judged by the works that we do.
Yeah.
And when everything
Exactly.
goes to crap eventually, it's the you're going to be judged on, or you're going to be able to judge yourself and be able to tell yourself you did everything that you could to make sure you saved everyone you could. You woke up as many people as you could,
Mm-hmm.
and you just you hold it tight until you can't hold it anymore. So that's just what I'm saying. So it's just going to take people being consistent, people exposing corruption, standing away from it, and Candace, our representatives, all together, like they need to back up and remember why they got into it in the first place.
Yeah.
Because right now they don't know that. They don't remember that.
Exactly. No, I couldn't have said it better. It's so true. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you because I mean, I don't even have like a very large following at all, but again, you want to do what you can to make an impact. So, which is why no matter how small, if you don't even have social media, if you only know a few people, you need to be working, trying to turn this tide, doing what you can to stand up to this because it's going to take all of us. It's not You can't just leave it up to influencers. So, on that note, again, thank you so much for joining. I hope we can do this again soon and
Sure.
just, break down some of the culture of what's happening. And yeah, you can follow him again. I'll have the links in my description: Twitter, Instagram, Real James Owen. And yeah, obviously, you guys follow me on Locals where I can actually talk freely and discuss things a little bit more in depth there. We'll do also some more in depth educational material. So, I like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments below what you think overall of the direction of conservative influencing and if it's making you happy or you're not for it. All right. Thank you guys. Have a great day, evening, whenever you're watching this, and I'll see you soon.
All right.